All right, guys. So nature is here. Life is happening. And I guess the question is, are we really paying attention to it? Are we really paying attention to the things that are coming into our lives and intersecting with us? And it's okay if we're not, but sometimes maybe that's a story like mine, something as simple as this to just remind us that there's a lot more happening and sometimes we're comprehending. So as I was sitting in my room, just doing a little studying, I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I thought it was just like maybe like little floaters that I have in my vision, things like that. But then I saw a shadow on the floor from the light coming through the window. And I turned and looked because it was moving, and I thought, oh, maybe there's like a bee or something buzzing around on the screen outside. And as I turned and looked, it was a crane fly. But the crane fly was on the inside of the window. So what I had seen in my peripheral vision that I thought was some sort of like floater or something just in my vision, I actually saw it. So it was buzzing around on the window for a little while, and then it flew back out and it landed on the wall right by the front door. So I got up and I went over and I opened the door and I just kind of put my foot next to it to where it flew right out. A lot of times, things, including ourselves, we get in circumstances that we didn't expect to be in, and all we're looking for is a way to get back to what's normal to us. And that was simply what that crane fly, in my mind, was signaling to me. It was very specific to go by the front door. Now, there may be things that insects and animals inherently pick up on, maybe like the breeze through the from under the door. It could feel, something, but it clearly signaled. It came out of its way. It could have gone straight to the front door and just sat there, or it could have kept buzzing around and looking, but it came into view and then kind of took my attention as it sat by the front door. It could mean a lot of things. But how do we choose to look at things as well? I think that's the important part. Yeah, an older version of me, or maybe a current version of some of you, would have just smashed it and been like, ugh, ugh. But when you learn about things, when you learn that the crane fly is not a humongous mosquito, as a matter of fact, it eats mosquitoes, so it's doing you a favor. And when you learn that it's not harmful to you, outside of maybe just your fear of the unknown, because it's got those long legs and it's flying around all crazy. I used to think the same thing. But once you learn about it, and once you're not fearful of certain things, then you have that opportunity. Now, I'm talking about a crane fly, but what about when we're talking about other people that we don't understand, we don't know that much about, and we might see them trapped? What about giving them a way out rather than just smashing them in the way of, I don't know you, I don't know what that's about, and so therefore it's easier just to do this? Learn about things. Learn about things. Learn about other people. Learn about the insects around you. Learn about the life around you. I've heard people for the longest time to be able to tell you what snakes are and are not venomous. That means they learned. Somebody told them about these things. And that's a good thing. Education passed on is great. But why don't we do that with people? There's lots of things that we can do with and without, as far as the things that we continue to pass on as education, as generational teachings. So if you can teach somebody about the difference between, I believe it's a king snake and a coral snake, and there's a whole rhyme scheme about the colors because they look very similar, but the rings are out of order. That's black, yellow, and red, if I'm not mistaken. If you can learn that and teach that so people can stay safe, and there's probably much less likely chance that you're going to be coming across one of those snakes, much less bitten, then why not teach it on a higher scale, a higher level of probability that you're going to come across people of a different walk? And maybe snakes always have the same pattern of behavior, but maybe they don't. We can't really say, but we can't say that for people either. So let's give benefits of the doubt before we just start saying, well, that has that, so it must be that. No, the crane fly had wings and it was flying around and would have been very easy just to get rid of it. But the easiest thing to do is also to free it. That way I also free myself of, again, a long lasting fear of something like that. And once I learned about it, then it was just like, oh, it's more of a friend than not. So I'm not saying I'm perfect in all these things. Are there other things that I might probably say, oh boy, it might be easier to get rid of it? Yeah, but again, that's my unknown. That's where I have to continue to learn. That's where we all can continue to learn. But I think as people, we've all been trapped into something. We've all been trapped in a house, or we've all been up against a window where we could see the freedom, and somebody else maybe had the power to relinquish us or let us free as we go by a door and are looking for a way out. And sometimes that person is us. Let's turn that around when we're talking about only seeing other people or things in a particular light. We've trapped ourselves. We've trapped ourselves. We can see the freedom of it. There's a door to it. And so sometimes it's not about us letting somebody else off the hook. Sometimes it's letting ourselves off the hook to say it's okay to go outside that door, open it for yourself, free yourself. I've gone all over the place with this, but it's just my considered thoughts for having a brief but very, in my mind, intentional interaction with that insect. And so it was just working off of its measures, like, how can I get out of here? And quite possibly the energy that we give off is what draws things, whether that's good or bad. So just food for thought, guys. I don't have much more on it, and I hope it makes sense. As always, I'd love to hear your ace up the sleeve, your advice, comment, experience. Leave something in the chat. And as always, I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. And as always, I'm going to leave another video or two and the subscription button. So feel free to browse around, stick around, and be well.